Hey trainers, Alakaham here with a little more Pokemon video magic. As we came to the end of the Ultra League this week, I tried running a team that was a little bit spicy for the Ultra League Premier Cup with Gallade on the lead and Sirfetch'd in the back with what I believe was a bit of an unusual pick, Aerodactyl. And I selected Aerodactyl because a lot of people use flying types on the safe switch. So I'm going to try and show you kind of how that worked. We picked up a really good lead with Gallade versus Shadow Machamp, and then they switched into a flying type, Charizard. So Aerodactyl, being a rock type, was able to just farm it down and then have enough energy to launch that rock slide at the Machamp. And we did get a shield, so now we can just safely bring back the Gallade. I shouldn't have used a shield here. We would have been fine with or without the shield. The only thing we might have had to look out for was payback, but I don't think they had time to get to that. So we were able to finish farming them down with Confusion, and then we ended up hitting a Executor. Now, Executor is actually a problem for this team. Executor resists the attacks on pretty much everything that I have, if not doing super effective damage, but I'm fortunate that they let the close combat through, which meant that I could come in, shield one attack, and then just counter down with Sirfetch'd. So in the future, I will have to think about subbing something in that could work a little bit better for Executor, but fortunately I didn't hit those very often, and I was able to do quite a bit of good with this particular team. Again, this is a pretty good lead because we have Leaf Blade, which will do super effective damage, and then of course those Confusions doing neutral damage are going to add up quite a bit over time. They had to block there, and in this case they're more or less forcing me to block as well because they could have had Earthquake, but I called their bluff and it was not Earthquake. They had just built up some Hydro Cannons. And then by the time they were done launching those, I was able to get to that next Leaf Blade. Now they did make a really good sack swap there, so the Leaf Blade was more or less soaked up by the Charizard. That's okay, we can just bring in Aerodactyl, and Aerodactyl can tank any attack that Charizard is going to throw at it, no problem. And then we build up energy that we can use against the Swampert. Now I didn't invest all that much Stardust into the Aerodactyl, given that we were coming to the end of the Ultra League, but in future seasons I will probably give it an Earth-type secondary move, so that if we happen to hit something like Empoleon, we can potentially sneak attack them or something there. Okay, so we absorbed attacks into Aerodactyl and into Gallade, so that I could save the shield for Sirfetch'd, and I was hoping that Sirfetch'd would be able to farm down whatever was in the back, which is true, and then I would have had Leaf Blade ready to go for the Swampert. So that was another fun game that worked out pretty nicely. Here I switched to some other matches. This is more or less a highlight reel with the Aerodactyl. The team worked out more than it didn't. I won more than I lost with it. But I did want to showcase some of the key wins and showcase kind of how this team worked. I was much smarter in this match because I didn't shield anything that came from a Machamp when it was being launched against my Gallade. They switched into a flying type. Again, we see another Charizard, and I was able to come back in with Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl tanks the flying type, usually takes the shield from whatever was on lead. We don't have to shield Aerodactyl, it's already done its job. Time to bring back in Gallade. So at this point, we're in a really good place because we have two Leaf Blades built up. I launch one. It is a Swampert, so we know that Leaf Blade will be doing super effective damage. And we launch the other one. There we go. One Confusion would have ended that match. And if they had beat the Gallade, of course, we had Sirfetch'd also with Leaf Blade ready to go in the back. I like Sirfetch'd in the back just because of its broad range of moves that it has access to, but something like Venusaur would work really well there as well. This was an unusual match. I expected that they would stay in with Charizard. Charizard does decently against Gallade, but they switched out to their Gengar. So they did get a shield from me, but it didn't take much effort to defeat the Gengar because those confusions do super effective damage. I ended up getting that shield right back, and then we can bring in Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl doesn't care what Charizard throws at it, it's not going to be any big deal. And again, we see a Swampert in the back. So you can see for a couple of days I was hitting a pretty similar team, which was great because that meant that this team that I built worked exactly as I wanted it to, which was really nice, and I was able to bring up my score a bit as we came to the close of the Ultra League. So the team worked out really nicely. Usually there was a flying type safe swap. Rock types do really well against them. Aerodactyl is a good um, rock user that can work out pretty well against those flying types, but also if you have access to something like Aggron or Crustle, those would work really well there too. So I hope that you enjoyed seeing some highlights of Aerodactyl, that it's fun to see something sort of unusual in Ultra League Premier Cup gameplay, and I'll be bringing you some more videos about our return to the Great League very soon. See you then, trainers.